Hi guys, I'm Overarch, and today I'm going to talk about how you can spot enemies in PUBG. So the goal of this guide is to kind of help you think a little bit more tactically and think about how you're going to spot enemies and vice versa, how those enemies could be spotting you and how to maximize your chances of spotting them before they see you. The number one deciding factor in this game in who wins a fight is who sees whom first. If you see the enemy first, you have a huge advantage. So, let's just get right into it. First, we need to talk a little bit about the human eye and what it recognizes first. So the first thing that the human eye can pick up on is motion. If something is moving, your eye will pick up on it faster than anything else. The second thing it picks up on is shapes. So if you see an outline of someone, it's going to pick up on that. And then the third is color. And this is kind of the last thing your eye is going to pick up on. So you don't, wow, you know, the yellow tracksuit might look nice. It does not make you more stealthy. So you want to wear clothing that's a little bit more drab colored or camouflage colored. So let's talk about motion. Whenever I'm looking for an enemy, whether that be in a field or in a building or whatever, I always try to take in my whole screen, of which I have my FOV set as high as it'll go. By the way, I recommend you do that. It's in your game options. I just look for motion. If I see, you know, a little dot in the distance moving, I'm going to pick up on that before a silhouette. So try to keep your whole screen in focus and just keep your eye on the game, and always be using the look around feature as well. Always be using the head movement feature. And with that too, you want to look in an area and then wait a second. So look over your left shoulder, wait a second, because when you're moving the camera, if someone's moving in your field of view, you won't pick up on that motion. So move the camera, let it sit there for a second. If you don't see any more motion, then you look somewhere else, wait a second, see if you see any motion, repeat. Motion, 9 times out of 10, motion is how I spot people in this game. The next thing you're going to pick up on is silhouettes. So, silhouettes are most commonly going to appear in what's called silhouetting. Basically, whenever you're at the top of a hill, you do not want to be at the peak of it. You do not actually want to be sitting up at the peak of a hill. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, you're now visible to everyone around you. Whereas if you're on the side of the hill, just a little bit below the peak, you're no longer visible to people on the other side of that hill. The second thing is because of silhouetting. So let's say someone's at the bottom of that hill, and they're looking around, and they're looking up the top of the hill at you. They are going to see your human-shaped outline against the sky. This is called silhouetting. So you want to be off the top of a hill if you're moving around the peak of it. The last thing that you want to keep in mind is cover and using it. So, and this tip's kind of obvious, but you generally want to stick to where you have the most cover. So if you can choose between running through a forest and a field, you're going to want to run through that forest. And something to keep in mind is that you need to conscientiously think of, okay, the next circle is going to be over here. How am I going to get there? You should use the map, and you should take, 5-10 seconds and plan a route. Plan what you're going to do, especially in the last few circles. Because as the circles get tighter and tighter, positioning becomes more and more king. And if you're in a good position or a better position than your enemy, then yeah, you're going to win that. Or you will have an advantage in that fight. Lastly, for spotting enemies, think about what you would do in a situation. What would you do? Where would you take cover? Would you go through that forest, or would you go through the field? So you might want to keep a closer eye on the forest, because that's the smart thing to do. Also keep in mind that a lot of terrain features will attract players. For example, hills or mountains are more likely to have people on them than random fields. Just something to keep in mind. But as always, guys, I hope this helps you get better at PUBG